You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. That President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
It must be some kind of reprogramming that's been done. You know, we were talking earlier about music, right?
Right.
And music, I remember growing up, and, you know, I was a kid from the 70s and the 80s, and the people before me were from the 60s, you know, and they were talking about all this anti-war stuff. Woodstock, I think, was 99% anti-war. It was like anti-Vietnam, anti-Nixon, anti-government, right? And then somewhere along the line, somewhere between the 80s and now, there's been a reprogramming of the brain of people in America, and now they're actually pro-war, they're pro-government, they're stumping for politicians. That just didn't happen when I was a kid. But now all of a sudden you have people being like, oh, you know, trust the government. Oh, you know, Biden is great. Oh, you know, that's, you know, anti, you know, this people because they're against the government. Come on, man. And now you're like pro-Ukraine and pro-this. And come on, man. Seriously.
Can anyone name 5 positive impacts of the Biden administration that isn't forgiving student loans, which I don't even think even really happened?
No, he didn't. He didn't do that. He didn't. That was one of his staple promises, and he didn't come through for that. I can't think of any. You know, that's a weird thing about
there's
it.
Any good thing that he did, like it could be like it doesn't even have to be a policy. It could be like something good like that he said, because if you go on X and you see him, you got community notes under his tweets all the time. I know you see that when they pop up.
That's because he's a flat out liar. He lies about everything. He tells stories that didn't happen, and people go,
he said something about unemployment is lower than it was in my administration than in Trump's.
You know,
and then there was a community note that said this isn't true. So I don't know if it's Elon himself or someone on the Twitter staff, or I don't know how community notes works for there, but that's I just think that's funny. There's a note for every tweet that he makes.
I can't. Well, I know that people like to tout about the economy. They like to tout about They always point to the stock market. But see, the stock market seems to be... It doesn't matter who's the president. You're just looking at this man as the president right now. He falls down all the time. He falls asleep all the time. He never does press conferences of his own. You notice that? Like, he never does press... You know, Trump and Bush and Obama and Clinton and all of this behind him all used to stand at that podium and take questions from the reporters. All of them. Even Trump, even though they hated him, and he still took their questions. Biden doesn't do it. He just doesn't do it.
I think his son has been in the news more than him.
New Kingdom Radio Theater.